So that's the scenario with the gallbladder liver situation. The other scenario is, say the pancreas, remember I told you that it actually makes a lot of enzymes until you're about 15 years old. After that, it doesn't really make them very well anymore, if any. And then we have to rely on enzymes from our food. So as we age, we lose our ability to use as much enzymes from the pancreas. One of the problems that happens is the pancreas, remember I said 86% of its job is to give you enzymes so that you can break down and digest your food. But another one of its jobs is to produce insulin for sugar digestion. So it'll produce insulin, but it's just a small job, right? So its big job is to give you enzymes. But what can sometimes happen, and this is in the case of a type 2 diabetic, is that it will actually use up its basal cells that make the insulin. It'll actually use those up or give those up to be able to give more enzymes. So in a human, our pancreas can actually grow to 9 times its normal size. And it's the pancreas can actually grow to 9 times its normal size in a human. But it shouldn't have to do that. If we're eating the right foods, and especially green leafy vegetables, then it shouldn't have to increase in size. And the reason it's increasing size is it wants to be able to give more output, right? But it doesn't really get that much success. I mean, anybody think that an enlarged heart would be better? No. So it takes more energy for the body to handle. If the organ begins to enlarge, it takes more energy for the body to be able to handle operating that organ. Okay? So we're going to back up again into the stomach now. And the stomach, remember I said hydrochloric acid and the protease enzyme breaks down protein. All right, so this is where we start ending up with the problem of what doctors diagnose as GERD, or acid reflux disease, right? And so those people, and this is a big issue in the United States. Just a few years ago, it would have been about 4 years ago, the highest selling drug in the United States was Nexium, called the purple pill, that kind of thing. And it was the highest selling drug in the United States. So a lot of people were dealing with heartburn issues. And so you go into the doctor and you're like, doctor, I ate, and you ate that standard American diet, right? You ate that hamburger again. And you eat that food, and all of a sudden it's just like, oh, it feels like I've got a knife in me, and I feel awful. And so that happens very many times, and us as Americans are like, I got to go talk to the doctor about this. I cannot handle this as life. So you go to the doctor, and the doctor tells you, you have too much acid, and this is acid reflux disease. And so we're going to give you this pill to deal with it. And the purple pill is an acid blocker. Okay, so if you want to understand about pH in the body, the stomach with food in it should be a 2 on the pH scale. So it should be extremely acidic. So does it make sense to then kill all the acid and get rid of all the acid in that stomach? Remember I said the body needed hydrochloric acid and the protease enzyme to break down and digest protein in the stomach, right? So if someone has GERD or acid reflux disease, what's going to start happening is they're going to start swallowing that acid blocker, and it's going to kill all the acid in the stomach. Does anybody in this room think that digestion in the stomach is going to happen then? No. The digestion in the stomach is not going to happen, and the body is either going to have to choose to throw the food up, which actually sometimes does happen. I have found people that are so sick that when they eat, they feel so sick that their body just automatically starts throwing the food up. And it's because this whole process is not happening well, and the body can't handle it. So it just goes, I can't do this anymore, and it gives you that reflux, and you actually throw it up. But a lot of times, people don't have that, and the food gets passed on. Well, if the food gets passed on into the duodenum, then what happens is that pancreas has to give up tons and tons more enzymes to break down that food, because it's got to get broken down so that the body can absorb the nutrients. And so it'll make the pancreas work that much harder. The other thing that happens is we are very much like a wood-burning stove. We take food in and we convert it into energy. But if you put wood in a wood-burning stove, What's left over after the wood is all burned up? Ashes. So food has literally ashes left over. And protein, which we eat a lot of in the United States, protein has what we call an acid ash left over. If it's digested in the stomach, it's no big deal, because the stomach can handle all that acid, because it's supposed to be 2 on the pH scale, okay? But if it doesn't get digested in the stomach and the body passes it on and it's digested in the duodenum area by the pancreatic enzymes, then all of this acid ash is there. Now remember, I told you that the body bathes the food from the stomach into the duodenum. The reason it does that is because everything that's in the stomach is way too acid for it to go through the small intestine, and it would literally burn those villi in the small intestine. And the body has all this mechanism to protect the small intestine. Your small intestine has more immune system cells than any other area of the body. All right? And the reason it has all those immune system cells there is because if you got sick with the flu, you could get over it really quickly, right? And also, if you ate the wrong food and you had food poisoning, it could actually get over it fairly quickly. Okay, so it has to have a lot of immune system cells there, but the body has a lot of mechanism to protect that small intestine, and one of the mechanisms is to protect it from all that acid. So if the protein is now digested in the duodenum area, then it has all this acid ash that it's dealing with because the food got digested there and it didn't get digested in the stomach. So this is when the body becomes too acidic, right? And the body actually has to find a way to get rid of all this acid. So one of the things that gets rid of acid, and you guys might know this if you ever had heartburn and you took Tums. What's Tums made out of, anybody? Calcium. Calcium is an alkalizing mineral. Okay, so the body, of course, has minerals. One of the most abundant minerals in the body is sodium, and the gallbladder has both sodium and cholesterol. So the first thing it does is if there's a gallbladder there, it says, gallbladder, give up your sodium. We need it to handle all this acid in the small intestine, and so in the duodenum area. And so it'll give up its sodium, but it leaves cholesterol behind, and that's when the gallbladder builds a lot of cholesterol stones and sludge and stuff in there because it's out of balance then in the gallbladder. If there's no gallbladder, it's going to start finding minerals from wherever it can find it and leach it from the bones and that kind of things, and this is when you get osteoporosis more often, okay? So does all of this picture I'm giving you guys start to make a little bit of sense at how valuable it is to break down and digest our food like we're supposed to, right? Very important to break down and digest our food. And there's various scenarios. So back in the stomach again, if you have someone, and if any of you in this room have what we call GERD or acid reflux disease, what you can do is you can find out, is the body, there's actually 2 scenarios. Does the body really have too much acid like the doctor says? Or does the body have not enough enzymes? Because remember, you need hydrochloric acid and enzymes. All right? So if it has too much hydrochloric acid, it'll be too low in enzymes. If it has not enough hydrochloric acid, which is actually 80% of the people that have GERD or acid reflux disease, 80% of those people are actually too low in hydrochloric acid. The body is not making enough. So the way you'd find this out is you'd eat that food that you know is going to give you heartburn. So whether that's spicy Mexican or whatever that is, eat that food. And once you eat that food, then you take a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar and swallow that. If you absolutely hate the taste of apple cider vinegar, use lemon juice, either one. And once you swallow it, if it gets better or goes away, you know that your body has not enough hydrochloric acid. If it actually gets worse, then you know your body is overproducing the hydrochloric acid and needs enzymes. And then when it comes to enzymes, you got to come see me. I'll do nutrition response testing, and we'll ask the body, what enzyme do you want in order to make this right? Okay? All right, that being said, we're actually going to go over nutrition response testing and do a little bit of a demonstration on what nutrition response testing actually is and about. And I'll try and explain it as simply as possible for all of you, and as simply as possible for all of you watching by YouTube. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the private health club called Healthy Out West. And we're going to put this up here. Is that all right, Bob? And what we deal with here is something called annoying symptoms. And annoying symptoms is any signal that your body is giving you that things aren't correct. So this would be the heartburn I was talking about. This would be, you know, oh, I've got a lot of gas and bloating, okay? I've got a lot of, when I eat certain foods, it's really uncomfortable and it hurts in here. Any of the symptoms, right? So this would be symptoms, and I'm going to tell you if there's symptoms, you're going to have the bottom two things, which is organ dysfunction and nutritional deficiency. They all go together, just like a triangle. And if you really look at this, this would be almost like the peak of a house, right? This could be the foundation. So our foundation is good nutrition and healthy organs. If we don't have good nutrition and healthy organs, your body is going to give you the signal of the annoying symptom. Okay? And it can perpetuate and get worse as you age. So if you have the annoying symptom of always having lower bowel gas and feeling really upset when you eat something, if you just let that go forever and forever and keep eating the same foods, it's going to get worse and worse and worse because the organs are going to get more deteriorated from the fact that that bad food is coming down in there and the villi might be laying over to the side or whatever those things I talked about. And what it really needs is healthy nutrition, whether that is proper enzymes or something to help the food get broke down better, right? So how do we deal with the annoying symptoms? We deal with it with something called nutrition response testing. And nutrition response testing is actually service marked. And the reason I say it's service marked is there's a doctor named Dr. Sherie Julian who actually patented this phrase, nutrition response testing. So when you hear me talk about it, that's why I don't usually shorten it to NRT. I usually say nutrition response testing because that whole name is service marked, and it's because he patented this form of checking the body. So I like to say that nutrition response testing is like asking a series of questions to the body and getting the response back. And you have to look at me as though I'm just an interpreter of what your body is saying, because I know how to do the nutrition response testing, okay? We also have a term in Healthy Out West called the body is king. That means it has all the answers and we only go by what it says to do. So it's not about me, you know, I may wear a white coat or whatever, but it's not about me, it's not about what I know, it's not about any of that, it's about what does your body tell us to do. And we only do exactly what it says to do.